Hey guys, this is Scott the Gastric Tiger here with my 3-year RNY gastric bypass update. Can't believe that it's been 3 years. I also can't believe that it's only been 3 years. With this update, I kind of just wanted to do sort of a summary of where I've come from, where I am, and where I want to go. So let's start out. I really started getting serious about losing weight back in 2007, and did what I consider to be sort of a drastic last push before before I'd ever even considered weight loss surgery, because I always thought, wow, that's just way too extreme. I'm, and you should be able to do it yourself, and all those cliches. I thought that way. But in 2007, my doctor put me on phentermine, and over a matter of a year and a half, I dropped 80 pounds. I was walking a lot, almost, almost 2 or 3 miles every single day. I was eating very little, and I think the thing that finally made it fail is I wasn't eating enough protein, and I wasn't increasing the intensity of my exercise. So I hit a low weight then of 289, and that started my slow creep back up. And slowly, I was still on phentermine, and the doctor finally took me off, because she was just like, "It's not working for you anymore. We got to figure out something else." And at that point, I really kind of got depressed, because I felt like I was just gonna have to live in a fat body, and that was just gonna have to be my lifestyle, and I was gonna have to die young, and probably never have kids. And I went through a little bit of a depression, and finally came to the realization that weight loss surgery was the right thing for me. So in the spring of 2013, I got my consultation and started out my journey. And at that point, I was 380 pounds. Went through 6 months of pre-surgery classes and consultations. I want to make a comment that I think that is essential to being successful. I have no idea how I could get my head in the right place without that time. So started making small changes. Both my wife and I started making some small changes during that time, leading up to my surgery on October 28th of 2013. And then the ride started. I didn't start out making YouTube videos. I started making YouTube videos shortly after surgery. I didn't make any pre-surgery videos, and I didn't get into the social aspect of making videos until much later. But it was a wild ride that first year. I think the thing I could say about that first year is you could do pretty much anything, and the tool's going to do the work for you that first year. But you have to set up some habits that are going to be long-term during that time period. Exercise, and the way you eat, and how much you eat, and how you measure your food, and all of those things that you need for long-term success. You have to develop in that first year, because if you don't, it's not going to happen. I mean, you can try to rededicate, but trust me, in that first year, that's when it needs to happen. So weight just started dropping off, just like crazy. And I was having fun. Uh, it took me, I think, 2 months after I had my surgery, I got the first gym membership of my life, and I fell in love with it. Um, Started going every single day. Just became part of my normal work day. I didn't feel like my work day was done until I had gone to the gym. So the next phase of my journey really started in March, I think, of 2014. WLSFA in Tampa. That's really when the social aspect of this whole thing kicked in and really took it to another level for me. I had been commenting on some videos before that, and people had been commenting on mine, but it always felt like those people on those videos were just not really real. I mean, there were people out there on the internets, and not real people. But going to Tampa changed that and made it to where I really, I really clicked with these people and made some friends. And then I was doing this in community instead of just sort of on my own. And that made it a lot easier in a lot of ways. Probably picked up a few bad habits from my from my friends too, but lots of good habits that have helped me out along the way. And I started C to 5K during that time period. I think I was 3 weeks in when I went to WLSFA and finished out the first time I ever did the C to 5K with Bobby, VSG Bobby, and that was a great experience. It really made me feel like I was an athlete again and that I could train. And so over that summer, Fat Kings Phil, called me out on a Fat Kings episode to sign up for Tough Mudder. And I took him to heart and decided that that was what I was going to do. And that was what I trained for the second half of my first year. And I did my first Tough Mudder, I think a week before my 1 year Surgiversary. And that was one of the most amazing experiences I have ever had in my life. I was in the best shape I've ever been, and I felt so powerful. And throughout that day, I felt myself grow as a person and in my abilities. And it was awesome. So after that first year, it was just about the time that I had finished up my first year that Bridget's father, my father-in-law, my second father, really started getting very ill with cancer. And so for the next October, November, December, January, February, for the next 5 months, we spent every weekend in Kansas City. So we were traveling every single weekend for those 5 months. And that was just a whirlwind. It was a tough time. There were some blessings in that. It was great to spend that much time with mom and dad during that time period and to be there for them. But it was also tough because we would be out of town on the weekends, and there would be no time to meal plan. There'd be no time to do laundry or anything else. So started out my second year pretty rough, and fell out of a lot of my good habits. I stopped going to the gym on a normal basis. I did my best, but when you're only home for 4 nights a week, it's tough to do that. So, for the few months after Dad eventually passed in that March, it was hard to get into good fitness habits. So I fell out of a lot of my good fitness and eating habits during that time period. But such is the way it is when you're in grief or trying to get through really hard times. I still charted my food pretty well. I still stuck to the way of eating that I was used to, but I did make some concessions because I needed to during that time period. Coming to the end of my second year. Yeah, that's right. Okay. I started to try to redevelop a lot of my habits, and but the problem is around that time period, a lot of my support group and friends that had become family stopped making YouTube videos. And so it was really hard to try to develop a new set of people to have as a support group. And that part of it has been hard. I think that's been the hardest part of this third year is feeling a lot of times like I'm doing it on my own. And I'm just as much to blame about not doing videos. I stopped making normal videos around that time period too. But this thing is so much easier to do when you're in community. So over this third year, I've redeveloped some relationships. I've started to try to follow some of you new people out there. That's kind of difficult for the veterans to. It's hard for me to think of myself as a veteran too, although I know that I am. But it's hard to make those new relationships because we're in a very different place. But I think I've made some good friends this last year that will help develop a new base to have support with. I've made some really good goals this last year that I've stuck with. I've decided to do a race every month, and that's kept me accountable to keep myself in the gym, to keep myself in a relatively good place as far as fitness goes. I've been trying to develop the habit of going to the gym every single day again during the week, at least 3 days a week. And that's difficult, but I'm working on it. And so, that leads me to where I am now. Over this last year, I've gained some weight. Not particularly proud of that. But I don't entirely feel like it's my fault. Part of it is, of course. But they put me on Clomid a little over a year ago. And as soon as I started on Clomid to help with fertility, it started me gaining weight really, really fast. I put on 20 pounds within the first 2 weeks after I started it, and it's just slowly climbed up from there. When I started Clomid, I was at 230-ish, and now I am at 2 70-ish. So, not happy about that, but I had my 3-year appointment with my doctor this last week and talked to him about it, and he does not seem at all concerned. So, pretty much he said, keep going to the gym, keep doing what you're doing, keep eating right, and eventually, when you come off the meds, you should be able to drop weight again. So, at this point, I'm trying to just do damage control and try to keep the weight from going up any more than it has. It's difficult because on this med, it makes it to where I retain every pound that I gain and I can't lose any, which sucks. But it is what it is. And the plus side of that, though, is my fertility numbers have finally started going up, and I might be able to be a dad now. There is a possibility of that. So we're going to be doing some fertility treatments in the coming year that are relatively inexpensive, but should be effective. So that's my goal for this coming year, where I want to move from here. I'd like to, this year, I would like to become a dad, and I'd like for that to be, I'm just going to plan on it. It's going to happen. Going to have that positive attitude, and I really do think it's going to happen. And then I can get off the Clomid, and then I can really hit it hard again and have another big losing phase. And throughout all this, I'm going to call on all you guys to stick with me, because y'all have always been the ones that kept me on track. Whether it's through encouraging fitness and me seeing you out there doing it and wanting to do it too, or seeing great recipes out there and seeing people that are really sticking with their food, and but all of that stuff helps me to stay accountable and to do things the way I know I'm supposed to do them. Other goals this year. I think I'm going to stick with my 1 race a month thing. I'd like to toy with the idea of maybe doing a half marathon next year. And if I do that, I'm definitely going to have to train for it and get into better running shape again. So maybe sometime next fall, I can work towards doing a half marathon, which would be fun to get back to that. Other goals for this coming year? I'd like to stay accountable to you guys through videos. And if I stop making videos, somebody come like tackle me and hit me up on Facebook or something and say, hey, where are you? You're supposed to be doing videos. So because it's so easy to slip out of doing videos. Let's see. I'm coming up on 20 minutes here, so I think I'm going to wrap this up. Thank you guys. Thank all of you for all of your contributions you've made along this journey. I wouldn't be where I am without you. And I can't tell you how much I appreciate all that you've done to help me to be a better person, and to be a better me, and to want to be a better me. So, anyway, I think that's all I got for now. So, remember to get out there and have the courage to be the new you this week. All right, thanks, guys.